I hope every. Sorry, guy. I took a little nap earlier. Um, but I'm fully awake now. Um, my significant other, she was dealing with some things related to I will say it is very stressful, and it isn't right. I feel like it's totally unfair, but I wanted to go back to part of the lyrics for Walking on a Thin Line, because there's a lyric, and actually it's a lyric that comes in at the beginning of the song. um Cursed for darkness and prayed for light. Now, yes, you can use that as a war, I guess, or terminology in the Vietnam War, but I feel like that part of a lyric is so real, is so, it talks about how resistance can be darkness, whereas liberation and freedom become the light. And I've learned for many years, without having to be in any kind of war, what that does feel like. It is not ever okay to curse somebody through darkness. I will say, one of those things, what the thing is, I feel like one of those things is when people doubt, they doubt other people, they never doubt themselves. They always like to doubt other people, but it's a form, it's cursing people with darkness. Love love is for love, meaning that when you love somebody and they love you back, that is that is that is praying for light, praying for what is to come, what are positive things that are coming. Now again, I would say, within life, even whether you're deployed or you're not deployed, or you're a resident at home that has somebody that is deployed fighting a war, one of the biggest things for me is part of the lyrics talks about it's um basically struggling with PTSD. So really, when people come home from war, they're often forgotten. They're trying to reintegrate into society, meaning they're trying to come back from that. They're trying to get into their society, into their society of their home, coming home from war, but they're often forgotten by the public they're forgotten by the branch they served and how they served the country. Meaning that alienation also, is another thing where somebody coming back to the war struggling to fit in with civilian life. But the lyrics is noted as the boy next door that society finds so easy to ignore. That is incredibly strong. But again, I feel like that can also relate into people not being in a war, but everyday life. Because when you have when the lyric says blinded by a memory, flashbacks occur. Blinded by a memory, meaning you're having visions of what was happening. Angry all the time. As far as I'm concerned, this song should be played, I feel like, way more times than Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. But I would find it bullshit if, because it sounds like this Walking on a Thin Line was not played continuous. I mean, Born in the USA is like, and I'm not stating I do not like. I love Bruce. I love Bruce's music, but this song and this album hits home to me because Walking on a Thin Line talks about really deep history about the Vietnam War and really focuses on the outcome of it, about society forgetting who you are, struggling to come back to society and living your life. But I wanted to do this live because and I'm not triggering anybody that that I feel like even if you feel like you're doing unwell, or you need a prescription, you need medication, or you need a refill prescription, doctors provide that. Typically, doctors will send in the prescription that you need, and the pharmacy's job is to refill it. As long as the doctor sends in the prescription for the pharmacy to refill. But things like that can happen reversed with with unfortunate events that occur when the doctor sends in the prescription, does what they're what they're gonna do, and the pharmacy making the screw up that they're stating they didn't receive it, or that you need to answer some bullshit questions to obtain, or to for them to refill the prescription. But again, it can be reversed where the doctor isn't doing their job and the pharmacy is doing theirs correctly. It is not a misunderstanding, unfortunately, because anybody who needs a prescription, they need it. Whether people, I mean, it's the pharmacy's job to hand you your prescription, to refill your prescription, and for the doctors to send in that prescription. I know this all too well how it feels like, and the drastic measure, not so much the drastic measures, but how frustrating it is to communicate with your doctors, with pharmacies. But I know, I know that when it's frustrating when you don't get your prescription, or really the pharmacy just doesn't give a crap, you know, unfortunately, it's not just, I mean, it sucks. Because people are wanting either to go on their freaking lunch breaks, or go on their lunch break, or if they are punching out for the day. People don't want to take you on last or whenever the pharmacy closes. They're so worried about getting the fuck out of there. But I will say it's not just in pharmacies or doctors' offices that happens. As I've learned, it also happens in fast food places. But a good example of what I'm talking about is a couple of weeks ago, my mom and I were headed home. We had stopped at Wendy's to get kind of an early dinner, an early supper. And there was the guy who took my order was also working the drive-through that day. So there was two guys working the drive-through. Um, and the guy that was taking my order weaseled out of taking my order and had the guy that was working in the drive-through to come to the order, to take the rest of my order, where the other guy, because the other guy needed to work. The thing is, the guy that originally took my order took half of it, meaning he just started to punch in things. So the order wasn't complete yet. So he goes back to the drive through and then has the other guy who had a hard time hearing me, but I mean not so much hearing me, but you had to talk very, I guess you couldn't talk normal to this guy for him to keep up with you, which was fine, and I get that, and I kind of hinted that I had to slow down with the order, communicating the order. And and but he took it. But the other guy wasn't even working in the drive-through. I happened to turn around, and he's in a booth behind me eating his fucking lunch, desperate that he wasn't going to get his freaking lunch break. It's like, you got to be kidding me. You told me you were going to work the drive-through. But I turn around, there he is having his lunch break. He's like, "I'm sorry, man, that I didn't take your order." I said, "You told me originally that you could have just told me you couldn't take my order when I walked in, and said I'm going to have the other guy that was working the drive-through take my order. You didn't have to lie about it." But the consumption of bullshit people feed you is is not human nature, in my opinion. But again, it's it's a lot similar to what we have to deal with doctors or pharmacies, or I mean, as I said, it's not always the doctor, it's not always the pharmacy that you go get your medicine at. And but the doctors send in refills, and they send in prescriptions, and the pharmacy's job is to either accept the I mean, most times accept the request from the doctor to refill your prescriptions, or to start one for you. Or if the doctor states that they have to increase your medicine, meaning going up a, a dose in your medicine, you know the doctor has to send that prescription in. And whether it's somebody with sore eyes that doesn't see it on their computer at the pharmacy, well, that isn't the person's issue who needs a prescription. Hmm. But I feel like people often don't fully look at things enough, or they weasel out of things because they're so afraid they're going to miss their lunch break. They're going to miss maybe even the end of their shift. But really, you have to look back to at, and this is another story I'm going to share with you because this is also very important. I will say, after hearing this, I was very. I didn't like hearing what I heard a couple months ago, but my mom and I went into the Wyndham Walmart. I had ordered a drink and a donut from Dunkin' Donuts in Wyndham at Walmart. And the woman that took my order, so I noticed because there was three people ahead of me in line, and everybody started saying happy birthday to her because it was her birthday. And when I took my order, she told me, and this is what she told me. She said I had to cancel my birthday plans because Walmart called me in to work on my birthday and stated that even though I'm working part of the day, I'm not getting paid enough. And what really crushed me is how straightforward she was about this. But going back to what I was saying, is when somebody has to work on their special day, meaning that if they already made plans with someone that they're celebrating with to go out and celebrate their birthday, and they have to work half of a shift and not earn enough money that shift to go out to dinner, it really frustrates me. Because typically I feel like even working a half shift, they should at least give you a bonus or a little bonus for it to be your, since it's your special day. But looking back at that, I was completely just blown away how people can treat people on their special day. But the fact that this woman told everybody in line that day that was placing their order, it made her day. I'm hoping it did. Because to some people, money means nothing. Paychecks don't mean anything. But also, what you say can be worth more than a goddamn paycheck. She said she worked only 4 hours that day. Because I know when she took my order, she had an hour left of her shift. But that tells you how strong a person is, too. Everybody should have freedom on their birthday, choose what they want to have for dinner, and choose what they would like to do on their birthday without having any tension on that fucking rope. Whether she chose that, it sounds like she did not choose to work that day. I think she chose to do that because she was desperate for the money. But I think what really made her day and what really valued her day was the people placing their order. And this was awesome because before even anybody placed their order, the happy birthday came out immediately. And that shows when you wish somebody a happy birthday right away before going about your business or your needs, shows just how a community can function, of how loving and interactable a community can be. But what I often don't, I mean, I will say I've seen people being kind, but on that level of being kind, risking their, because the thing is, people could have given their order and then say happy birthday to her, but everybody that was in front of me wished her a happy birthday right away and then placed their orders. And that shows you how remarkable a lot of individuals actually are. I get it. For some people, birthdays are, you're going up in age. I get that. But going up in age, it's a number. You're aging. Birthdays are meant to be celebrated because it's your special day. And having to work a half shift. But let's see what the wage is at the Wyndham Walmart. But she fully worked, so maybe. Actually, so Dunkin' Donuts is a different company, so maybe. If you look up Dunkin' Donuts and not Walmart, you'll get your answer. Yeah, so if she had half, so 40, so positions often pay between $14.65 and $22.40 per hour. So if she was working the cashier, because typically a lot of Dunkin' Donuts have two or more people working. You'll have someone making drinks, cooking food, working the drive-through. Even though at Dunkin' Donuts in a Walmart there is no, there is no drive-through usually. Like the one in Wyndham, I know doesn't have a drive-through. So if she was only take, because that day I don't remember, there was another woman there with her, but she was out back. So I feel like she probably took over. I mean, despite that though, only working, half her shifts, that cut her payment pretty short. And she also stated to me that she wasn't getting paid enough that day, which is on Walmart. I feel like it's on Walmart, especially having an extension or a full time restaurant in their store. Because Dunkin' Donuts it's their own business. Walmart is their own business. But I just find it very, very it sucks for people. When it's their special day, they make big plans to go out with their families, friends, significant others to go out. Some people stay home and cook, but it sounds like she was actually going to she had to. The thing is, another big thing is she had to cancel and trash those plans because they called her into work pretty late that day, is what she said. So the original plan for her was not to work that day. But she had to literally trash her entire plans with her husband because she was married to dine in somewhere nice. So she had to come in during like the later afternoon, and I don't know. But anyways, um it is important that people get what they need. Not so much what they get what they want, but they get what they need. Enjoying what they have, enjoying that you only get to celebrate your birthday every year on your birth month and on the date of where you were, or really the date you were born. But growing up, my birthday parties were the day before my actual birthday. But again, as you get older, you'll be celebrating your birthday, and I've always wanted to celebrate my birthday the day on, the birthday, my birthday, that basically the date my birthday is on, not the day before. Because my birthday is the day after St. Patrick's Day. Meaning I wouldn't mind, but I'm going to celebrate my birthday on the day I was born, not before that. I don't count any day before that. That is, I mean, it's closer to my birthday. It's semi closer to my birthday, but it's not my birthday on St. Patrick's Day. It, it's a federal holiday.